So the time has come where I show you how to build this robot. It is a really cool robot. You need one Spike Prime kit and one expansion kit. So between the two of those, the Spike Prime kit and the expansion kit, you have enough to build the robot and accessories, attachments, bumpers, that sort of stuff with this robot. Now, the price-wise, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, it's for one kit and one expansion set, it's the same as one EV3 educational kit. So I think price-wise, it's the same. If you have a Spike Prime kit already, an expansion kit's like 99 bucks. Get yourself one. It has an extra motor, extra light sensor, extra ball bearing thingy that spins around on the front. It's like a fake wheel. So buy one. It is totally worth every single penny. If else, you're gonna have to buy another Spike Prime kit or go to Lego Education's website and buy a couple extra parts from them, which is no big deal too. So I'm gonna list all the parts, every single part, down below in the description. So let's get started. Now, this robot is designed to be built in 4 different sections. So 4 different team members could be building this robot at the same time, and it can be assembled very, very quickly. So we have the back section, the drivetrain section, the front section, and then the section that holds everything kind of together. So let's hop right into it with the drivetrain. So the first thing that we're gonna do with the drivetrain is we're gonna mount the motors. And these are all the parts that you need for the drivetrain. So 2 of the 7x9 picture frames or squares, 2 wheels, 2 motors, the small motors, 2 of these 3x3 connector things, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 3-peg blue connectors, 2 of the the blue half axle, half peg connectors, and a bunch of black ones. All right, so we want to connect the motors to one of these frames. So the easiest way to do that is just to put black pegs in the side with the blue on them, and then we're just going to clip them in just like this. So the blue motor mounts are facing out. Okay, next thing that we're going to do is we're going to want to put this frame on top, but we want it to be a little bit more forward. So we're actually going to just put 4 pegs in here like this, using the black pegs. And then we are going to put these into the center 2 on this guy, just like that. Next, we're going to put 3 black pegs into the front, like this. 1, 2, 3. And that's going to help connect to the front section at the end. And then now, before we put the wheels on, we want to do some cable management here. So we are going to use 2 of the cable clips that come in the kit, and I'm going to use one of the blue half axles, half pegs, and I'm going to stick it into this last hole of the top picture frame or square, whatever you call them, 4x or 7x9 beams, I don't know, and just clip the cable in there so it goes forward like that. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Flip it over, grab my blue axle peg, and there we are, coming forward just like that. Now I can go ahead and put the wheels on, and I'm gonna do it in a very, very specific way. So first I'm gonna line up this dot with this dot. So I'm gonna line everything up like that, and on the other side, like that. And then I am going to put black ones, black pegs in the wheel well, or the wheel hub, and I'm going to put some blue pegs, so alternating black and blue, so black are across from each other and blues across from each other. Then I'm gonna grab a wheel, and I'm gonna make sure that I still have this pointing one way, and then I am going to make sure that my wheel marker that matches with the origin or the start or the, whatever you want to call those points, identifier points, and I'm going to put the wheel on, slide it over, and one wheel is on. The last thing I have to do for this wheel is put a 3x3 connecting plate on. That side's done. On to the next side, same thing, black across from black, blue across from blue, and then this guy, oop, wheel, forgot the wheel, and then the wheel, and then this guy. And we are ready to move on. All right, so now we can move on to the front section of the robot. So these are all the parts that we need. We need one of the 9x7 squares, picture frames, a large motor, 2 color light sensors, 2 of the wheel bearing rolly thingies, 1 15 beam, 1, 2, 3, those are 11 beams, 2 9 beams, 2 7 beams, 1 of the connecting plates, some of these guys, parallel connectors, 90-degree llama connectors and pegs, and 1 28 tooth gear. So first thing I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start building the actual part that touches the ground. In order to do that, I'm going to just start by taking one of these guys and putting them into the wheel bearing. One of these guys, putting into the wheel bearing. I'm going to kind of have them face each other, and I'm going to actually do it this way. Okay, so then what I want to do is I want to connect like this, and then I want to, I was just making sure that I have 1 peg on each side. That's the proper width of the robot. And then I'm going to take a peg like this. It can be a blue one or a tan one, and then a peg, black peg, and I'm gonna put this guy in here like this, and do this. Put 2 black pegs in, so again, black peg, tan or blue peg, in like that. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. So where's my blue peg? My black peg, put it in. And like that. Next part, I'm gonna take one of these beams and I'm going to clip it across like that. That's what's gonna connect to the wheelbase of the robot. And now I am ready to start putting on light sensors and that sort of cool stuff. So here is how that works. I'm going to grab 2 light sensors and I'm just going to put them here just like this. And then I'm going to grab parallel connecting pegs, and I'm going to put them in to one side of the light sensor and then into the wheel bearing plate like this. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Take a light sensor. I'm going to put it in to the wheel bearing plate like that. Okay. So next I'm going to place this beam across here like this. And I'm going to do that with a black peg, a blue peg, that is a number 3 peg, and another number 2 peg, another number 2 peg, a number 3 peg, and lastly a number 2 peg. And then that beam is going to go right on top like this, and that's going to sturdy all of this up. While I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and put a black peg in that hole and that hole, and then put a number 11 beam across the front. And the last thing I have to do with this front part is go ahead and put these pegs, these can be blue or tan pegs as well, in the very, very end, and we can attach bumpers to the front using those 2 pegs. Okay, now that we've done that, we can start building out the actual motor attachment part, and then we're going to kind of click it into the top. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take parallel connector pegs and I'm going to put them into either side of one of the 3x3 connecting plates. And then I'm going to take black pegs and put them into this hole of the motor and this hole of the motor. And then I'm going to set this guy right there, just like that. And then I can put my gear on. So black peg, gear. So I'm ready to go ahead and put the actual motor onto the front part of the robot, and I'm going to put black pegs in the front part of the motor here. So if I'm holding it with the gear to my left, I'm going to put a peg right here close to the gear, peg right here, a peg right here, and a peg right here. And then I'm going to take those and I'm going to put them into the beam right here, the back kind of that's next to the yellow pieces, and I'm going to stick it right in like that, just like that. Next, I'm going to take the 9x7 picture frame, and I'm going to stick it onto the front just like this. Now we're ready to kind of help secure the top. And what I want to do is I want to take a black number 9 beam like this, stick it on the top like that, and I'm going to take the other one and I'm going to put a blue peg here and a blue peg here, and then I'm going to stick that right on there like that. So now I can take black pegs and stick one here, stick one here, on the end of that black beam, and I'm going to stick one right even into this picture frame or square, whatever you call it, like that. And then I have these number 7s that can go right on like this. They clip right on like this. And that part is ready to be put on the robot after I put these 2 gray pegs in like this. They don't have to be gray. Lego has red ones like that too. Colors don't matter. All right, so this is the front and it is ready to be put on to the robot. All right, we're ready to start the base, the back. All right, we're ready to start the back part of the robot. It's the back motor of the robot. And the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start building the motor part. So I'm gonna take the 3x3 connector and take 2 parallel connectors onto it. And just like on the front, I'm gonna take black pegs in this hole and in this hole, and then stick that on there like that. Now I'm gonna put my gear on. Black peg, gray 28 tooth gear. And then I'm going to take a, this is just kind of, you don't actually have to have this, but a 3 beam, and I'm gonna put that there like. Okay, next we're gonna take the 2 black number 9 beams, and I'm gonna put one on that like that. And then I'm going to put one with blue pegs in the back like this. So then I'm gonna take 2 of the number 7 beams, these blue guys, and I'm gonna stick them so they go all the way so that the bottom is even into this blue peg on each side of the motor. Then I can flip it over and lay it on the table like that. And I'm gonna take a black peg and I'm gonna skip one in the top and I'm gonna put it right there. Then I'm gonna skip one in the top at this side and put it right there. And then I can take the picture frame and clip it right in like that. So it's floating above the motor just like that. Then I can add the very back of the robot. The back of the robot will be over here, and that's what we're gonna work on next. And in order to start that, I'm just gonna take 2 of the gray parallel connecting pegs, and I'm going to stick them into the very ends of the motor, one on this side and one on this side, just like that. And then I'm gonna take a black peg and put it right above and even with the connecting, the gray connecting parallel connectors that I just put in on each side, just like that. And then I'm going to take the 2 number 11 beams that are purple, and I'm gonna stick them so the top is even with this peg, the black peg, just like that on that side, and just like that on that side. I've got pegs and a few beams left, and this is gonna kind of help connect to these are gonna kind of help connect to the build. These are gonna kind of help connect to the drive base, and these are going to help connect to the bumper. So, or create the bumper. So in order to do this with all the pegs that I have left, I'm gonna fill in the holes that I see here in the motor with black pegs like this. And then I'm gonna stick the number 5 beams on those with the top next to the yellow piece like that, so they stick down just a little bit like that. And then I'm going to take 4 black pegs, and I'm gonna put one in the bottom in each of these purple number 11 beams that are sticking down. And then I'm gonna skip a hole and I'm gonna put one right there like that. Then I can take these connectors and center them. There should be 2 holes on each side of a purple beam like that. And that creates a bumper. I have 4 black pegs here. I actually need 2 more, so let me grab 2 real quick. So there we go. So I need 6 black pegs to go into this portion of the robot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a black peg in the bottom of each of the number 5 beams that are sticking out of the bottom like this. This is gonna help connect us into the drive train. And then I'm going to, even with those beams, I'm gonna stick 2 in each of the number 13 blue beams, just like that. The last thing I'm going to do for this part of the robot is I'm going to stick these gray beams or pegs in like this into the picture frame, and we are ready to go. The fourth section of the robot, these are the parts for them. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 15 beams, 4, 7 beams, 2 of these guys, the spike prime brick, and some connectors. So 2 of the parallel connectors, 4 number 3 blue pegs, and we have these axles that have the butts on them to stop them from going through the beam like that. To get started, we're just gonna kind of focus on one side at a time. So I'm gonna take 2 of these black beams right here, and I'm going to first take one of the parallel connectors, and I'm going to put them in each one of the last holes, well, next to last holes on these number 15 beams. So I'm going to skip one and then put it in the end like that. And I'm going to kind of keep it laid out like this so I don't get confused. And next I'm going to count 7 holes, well, 8 holes really. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 showing, and the 8th hole a peg goes. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and in the 8th hole a peg goes. And then I'm going to take a number 7 beam and I'm going to put it onto those. And that's going to kind of make this move like that. It's not going to move like that in just a second. So now I'm going to kind of flip it over and put a black peg in the end of each of the number 15 beams. And then I'm going to put a number 7 with 1 hole sticking to the top, or if we're looking at it this way, 1 hole down and 3 holes in the top. This is actually the top portion of the robot. The top is up here. Next, I'm gonna keep it flipped over. I'm gonna keep it flipped over here like this. So think of it this way. I'm gonna put a black peg here in the bottom, and then a black peg 1, 2, 3, skip 3 right there. So 2 don't have a black peg in it at the top. Now I'm gonna flip it back over, and it should be somewhat level. It's kind of sturdy to the table. It's still gonna move like this, but that's okay. Next, I'm gonna take one of these guys, and I'm gonna put a blue peg on the top part of this, the short side. So there's a long side and there's a short side. I'm gonna put 2 blue pegs in the short sides, and then I'm gonna put a black peg right here. So then I'm gonna flip it over and put everything right like that. So this blue goes all the way to the top of that, and so into the second hole like that. So when I look at it this way, I ought to see 2 empty holes, a peg, and then an empty hole. That's one side done, so I'm going to do the other side. So I'm just going to do the reverse of what I just did. So I'm going to leave one at the end on the right instead of the left this side, or this time. And then count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, put 1 in the 8th hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, put 1 in the 8th hole. And then we are ready to put a number 7 beam pointing down. Like that. And then we can flip it over, and I'm going to put a black peg in the end of each of the 15 axles or 15 beams, and then I'm going to do the same thing that I did before with this number 7. So 1 hole at the top, or looking at it this way, 1 hole on this side, 3 holes on this side, and then a black peg on the hole right there and a black peg on the hole right here. So there's still 2 at the top here. Then I can flip it back over. Again, it should be pretty sturdy to the table. I can't rock it back and forth, but it will still move like this, and that's okay. And then I'm going to take my last one of these, and again on the short side, put a peg here and a peg here, the blue number 3 connector pegs, and then right here, because it's opposite of the other one. So then I'm going to flip it over and put it in that hole here. So second hole, so this beam goes all the way to the top there, and that is the other side. So they should be exactly opposite of each other. So with these, whatever these are, there's an empty hole here, peg, empty hole, peg, empty hole, empty hole. The last thing we have to do is just stick these guys right there, and they're gonna help hold our wheels on, and we are ready to put this robot together. Now that I have all of the parts built, I am ready to start putting this thing together. Now what we have to keep in mind is some cable management. So before I do anything, I'm going to take the front of the robot, I'm going to take this cable and I'm going to stick it down through the hole so it comes out the bottom like that. So all 3 cables come out the bottom like this. Next, I'm going to take these 3 cables and I'm going to kind of lay that down like that. So I'm going to take my middle piece and Hey. That's okay. No, that's okay. That's why but that's why we can cut. I'm almost done.
Where's the...
I think she went to the bathroom. Give me 2 minutes. Okay. So I'm going to take these 3 cables, I'm going to keep them in my hand, and I'm going to put them up through here, just like this. So now those cables are dangling in there, and then I'm going to line this up into the center. So this center peg is going to be the center of this beam, and I'm going to click these in like that. Now that should sit there just like that. All right. Now I can go ahead and put the back on, and the back is going to kind of click in like this. So these pegs are going to go in that hole, that hole, that hole, and that hole, and these pegs are going to go in that hole and that hole. So it's going to kind of sit on the top or on the back just like this and click right in, just like that. All right, we are ready to put the spike prime brick on. And in order to do that, we need 2 additional black pegs. One of them all right, we are ready to put the spike prime brick on, but in order to do that, we need 2 additional black pegs. Oops. One of them, if I can catch it, is going to go right here in that hole. The other one is going to go right there in that hole. And then the spike prime brick itself, I'm going to keep all the cables off to the side for now. The button is going to go towards the back of the robot. I'm going to kind of click it in like this, and then I'm going to kind of click it in like that. And the brick is on, and that really kind of helps hold things together. Before we put the sides on, we're going to go ahead and plug all the motors in. So I'm going to turn the robot like this, and I want to find the back, this drive motor right here. So I'm going to find its cable, and it's right here, and I'm going to plug it into A. And I'm going to kind of tuck the cable around this beam like that. Now I want to find this drive motor's cable, and it happens to be dangling out right here, and I'm going to plug it into B. So A and B are my drive motors, and I'm gonna kind of tuck it in like this into the center, and we're gonna kind of tuck all these in nice and neat here in a second. Next, I wanna find this attachment motors cable, and it should be dangling out the bottom and up through the center, and it's right here. And I want it to actually go into the other side, so I'm gonna feed it through the other side, and I want it to be C. Then I'm gonna find this attachment motors cable, and I'm going to feed it. I'm gonna lay the robot on its side. I'm gonna feed it through this little hole right here into the center of the robot, pull it nice and tight. And then I'm gonna feed it all the way through the robot to the other side, and I want this one to be in D. The last two that we have left are the light sensors. I want this light sensor right here to be in E, so I have to find its cable. So just pull on it a little bit. Oh, it's this one. I want it to be in E. I'm gonna kind of tuck the cable back in there. And the last one, I'm gonna feed through, and it's gonna go into F. Now your cables might be fed just a little bit differently than mine, but that's okay as long as they end up like this. So the two drive motors are A and B, the accessory motor in the front is C, accessory motor in the back is D, and the two sensors are E and F. All right, last part is to put on the sides of the robot. So I'm gonna lay the robot on its side. I'm gonna pick this up, and these, oops, I'm gonna keep that axle in there. These two black pegs are gonna go in these two holes. The gray connector is gonna go into these two gray connector holes. And then the actual blue pegs are gonna go in here and in here, but they're gonna leave it's actually gonna leave a hole right there. And then the axle is gonna go into the axle of the wheel. So click, click, and click like that. This fell off into the wrong spot. Like that, there we go. And see the cables kind of tuck in nice and neatly behind that, keeps it nice and tight. And then I can push the cable or the axle in, and then I can flip the robot over. We do the same thing to the other side. So the blue pegs go into that hole and that hole, and then everything else goes into the same holes as the other side. And that, with the axle pushed in, is a Spike Prime Lego FLL robot. I really think that this robot is going to be a great successor to this robot. And if you've used this robot in the past, it has been fantastic for FLL. This one will be even more fantastic. It's smaller, it's more powerful in its attachment motors, it's quicker, it follows a line smoother in my opinion. It just all around is a far better robot than this robot ever dreamed to be. So this robot, I really believe, is gonna be where it is at in FLL, especially if you're a beginner team. If you're just getting into FLL or just getting into Spike Prime, this robot is the robot for you. So build it, share it, use it. If you use this robot, let me know. Comment down in the comments below that you're using it, where you're from, and how you solve submissions with this robot. I'm glad to share it with you. I will see you guys very, very soon.